Hi, how's it going? How are you? Well, you already know me. My name is John Rodriguez, and I talk to you about topics related to electrostimulation, among other things. This video I'm presenting to you today comes from some questions you've sent us, confusions that exist between TENS, the stimulation programs, and let me clarify. Not all TENS devices are used to stimulate the muscle to make it contract, nor are all electrostimulators TENS devices. Okay? So I'm going to explain a bit about the differences, what types of fibers they stimulate, what they're used for, so that you know clearly whether you need to buy one or if you already have one, what you can do with it. First, it's very, very important to understand that TENS is an analgesic program. Okay? So that program is not going to help contract the muscle to gain strength to achieve hypertrophy, whatever your muscle goal is. Okay? Because they stimulate different fibers. TENS stimulates a fiber called A beta, and it has a very short stimulation time. Just look. This will be the impulse with the positive and negative parts, and this is the time. Okay, the stimulation time for that fiber. We've talked about this in other videos when we discuss chronaxy, but I won't go into that now since it's not the point here, right? But the duration of that impulse is between 50 and 150 microseconds approximately. Usually it's a little less than that. Okay, so we're talking about very, 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 very short times. So TENS devices are going to stimulate this type of fiber, A beta, as we said. With that, you'll never be able to achieve muscle contraction, a tetanic contraction, unless you make a mistake, and I'll show you that later in the video as well. What happens when we want to stimulate the muscle? Well, we have to stimulate a different type of fiber. We're going to stimulate the alpha motor neurons. So those require much longer stimulation time, okay? We're talking about the crucial stimulation time when we precisely apply either a positive or a negative electrical pulse. This particular and important time is generally going to be around, let's say, specifically between 250 and 350 microseconds, okay? This precise duration is vital for the intended effect. So that impulse can last 4, 5, or even 6 times longer. So you can stimulate this fiber without stimulating the other one, okay? But whenever you stimulate this one, you'll also be stimulating the other. Yes, is that clear? So whenever you're causing a muscle contraction, you're also stimulating this type of fiber. So from a proprioceptive standpoint, you're working, there's no problem at all. But whenever you stimulate this one, you don't necessarily have to stimulate the other. Unless you make a mistake, and I'll show you that now. Let's see. In practical terms, how you can tell if you're using a TENS device or if you're overdoing it. I'm going to put it on my forearm to show you. And look, I place 2 electrodes here. You're going to see the difference between, I've already told you that positive and negative don't interfere at all, especially not in a TENS device. All right, look, I'm going to increase the intensity on the TENS. I select any program. Surely, you have many different TENS devices. You've probably heard names like TENS, Ovulate, Burst TENS, High Sensitivity TENS. There are many variations. The only thing they do is, for example, TENS sensitivity, type 1, type 2, type 3, whatever the brands call them well. This one is a little narrower, this one is a little wider, this one is more. During the program, it might be that this width changes or that the frequency of this pulse changes. Okay? In other words, it will play with different parameters to avoid the phenomenon of accommodation, where after a few minutes you get used to it and have to increase the intensity to feel the same effect. Okay? So they adjust those parameters, but the goal is the same, to stimulate this type of fiber, which I've already explained in other videos what a TENS actually does, right? On an analgesic level. And here I'm going to show you how we manage to stimulate. All right, look, I'm going to increase the intensity. I'm increasing, okay? Here is where I start to feel that the TENS is working. With the TENS, you know you feel a tingling sensation, right? So I'm feeling the tingling. Right now, we would be using this pulse width, but if I go further, I'll keep that same pulse width, but I'm increasing the intensity. In the end, I would reach a current level that would stimulate the alpha motor neuron, and I'm going to show you that. Here, the muscle is relaxed, but I'm feeling the tingling. I'm at the right intensity. If I keep increasing, look at how the muscle contracts, okay? I'm stimulating the alpha motor neuron, And in this case, that would be counterproductive because I'm working a muscle that I actually want to relax, give it a pain relief program or something like that. I'm lowering the intensity so it doesn't bother me. All right, so you've seen it now. If you go overboard with the intensity, you're going to end up stimulating this type of fiber, which you don't want in a pain relief program. Okay, so what does that mean? Does it mean that all programs work or don't work when we call them TENS? All right, so when you have a stimulator that only has TENS programs, it's only going to be useful for pain relief treatments. It won't be useful for muscle stimulation because the parameters aren't designed for that. Normally, all the higher end ones that have programs for muscle stimulation also include TENS type programs. Okay, but as you've seen, they work through different pathways. One, with TENS, the information is actually received in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and what it does is block the entry of pain. Okay, they are in pull. We stimulate the sensory fibers, the touch fibers. We block the entry of pain, as I've explained to you before. And as you've seen, the alpha motor neurons have a different purpose, which is to contract the muscle through various twitches, different frequencies, and other parameters that you already know well. Well, that's it. I hope I've cleared up these doubts for you, because there is a lot of confusion about TENS EMS, which is better, what one is, what the other is. And that's it. Now it's up to you to decide what interests you most for your treatments. See you later.